Yeah, but Lisa Kopp is not available because she's not allowed to play for us in the League Cup. Let me think. We had a good training today with a lot of players. So Olivia Holt is still not really ready to play, but she's back and actually training full now, so that's good. But otherwise, I think we are quite good and strong there.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, we'll move to questions on the online feed. Alex?
Afternoon, Robert. I just kind of want to touch what you said post-match on Sunday about Evelina.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Sorry.
5 to 6 weeks. Does that reinforce the need for Spurs to bring in a new defensive midfielder, a new six? Because obviously it's just Olga now with Kit Graham also injured for the season.
Yeah, sorry, I forgot about Evelina there. But yeah, she picked up the hamstring injury. The main thing is that we have a quite good cover in those positions. Drew is obviously a 10 and a pivot, so she can play in those roles. And Achiki is a winger and a pivot, so she can also play in that role. And obviously Olga Maite. So for me, it's not a stressful situation in that way. We have really good players that can play in that position. But obviously Evelina played quite many games in that position, so we're going to miss her. But it's time for other players to get the chance in there.
And of course, tomorrow a chance to get into the League Cup semi-finals. Last season, this was the stage you were knocked out by Man City. It's an opportunity, really. 2 matches you're away from a final. Durham or Chelsea in the semi-finals. Is the squad really motivated to go one step further than last season and try and get a bit of silverware again?
Yeah, I think we have had good cup runs when I came to this club. We had a quarter-final and the final in last year, and now we are in a quarter-final in the League Cup again. So we have got the taste of reaching finals, and we want to make sure we can try to compete for the trophies. So, I mean, obviously it's a great game at home against West Ham tomorrow to try to get closer to the final. So, I mean, we really want to reach the final. So we're going to start tomorrow by having a really good performance.
Perfect. That's all from me. Best of luck tomorrow.
Cheers.
Thanks. Megan?
Hi Robert, hope you're well. I just wanted to talk a little bit about Lisa Kopp, if I can. I know obviously she is unavailable tomorrow, but you know, she started out in that game against Leicester on her debut with the clean sheet. You must have been impressed by that. What did you make of her performance?
Yeah, very decent performance. Very calm in her way of acting. With the ball at her feet, taking the right decisions, with the way of protecting the balls that came around her, going up for that cross in the second half, and a few smaller saves. So I think that was a really decent, performance by her. And the way she's playing and how she's playing is very much connected to how we want to play. So we have scouted her well, and I think it's a good match. And we saw already now that they're already starting to build quite good relationships together with the defense line. So I'm very pleased with the first game, and it's only going to be better as well because she's going to grow into this team and get to know more of how we play and get to know the players. So it's a really good signing by the club.
Absolutely, and Maite Oroth has looked so strong since coming back from injury. I know she was out for a while. She looked really threatening, I thought, against Leicester. How much of an addition is she to have back in the squad?
I think when you look at her capacity and how she's technically can dictate the game and basically never lose the ball, that's the players we need in a team. I think the biggest issue in this game against Leicester was that we technically lost the ball too easily in some phases of the game, so we didn't really look the way we want to do. But if you look at Maite and her actions, she's very consistent in a way to keep the ball and make sure she can also do that pass to Amanda, for example. So she's getting stronger and stronger and adapting to this league, but you can already now see that she's a brilliant football player.
Absolutely. And just lastly from me, obviously a crucial 3 points against Leicester in the league, Spurs sort of fighting for that position in the middle of the table. How sort of crucial, I suppose, is progressing in these tournaments that Spurs still remain in, obviously the FA Cup, but the League Cup tomorrow? How much of a focus is that in terms of getting as far as you can and potentially winning some silverware this season?
I mean, if you can win the league or reach the Champions League, that's priority one. If you cannot do that, or you see that it's a really hard, tricky situation where we kind of see now it's going to be really hard to reach the top 3, then I would say we really want to push for the cup run and see if we can win a trophy and still compete in the league. But if that means that you end up 5, 6, 7, or 8 in the league and reach a really good cup run, I would pick a good cup run and finish 8th than finish 5th and, you know, just being out in the cups. But the league is the most important thing because we're pushing for the Champions League and the title, but it's going to take a few more games before we can push there. So cup runs is really important for us right now.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Robert. Good luck and see you tomorrow.
Cheers.
Thanks, Megan. Chris?
Hi, Robert. I hope you're well. You've got a good record personally against West Ham. What have you made of them this season, and what sort of game are you expecting?
I have a good record, but it's been really tough games. I think all of the games, and it's been really competitive and good fights. So I think it's going to be a similar way. We're not really there yet, where we shine the whole games, where we find the right decisions. We're still in a way where we're trying to get to know each other a little bit more and everything. So I think if we have a good spell of a game and we can make sure we score more than one goal, we're probably going to look like we looked Crystal Palace in the first game. But normally we still have dips in the game, which make it a little bit stressed and a little bit inconsistent. So I think we are still in a journey where we need to be more consistent and try to win with more than one goal. But on the other hand, we're winning games and we are now also defending much better. So the last 5 games is 4 wins and a draw and so much better defense work. So I'm still happy where we are, but I also think we are now ready to actually look a little bit better on the ball and how we break down the opponent.
When you get to a quarter-final of a competition like this, is it now that you go all out and put the strongest possible 11, or is it still about giving the fringe players opportunities?
I mean, it's always you bring the starting 11 that you think have the best chance to win the game in the beginning, and then you have substitutions on the bench that can come and finish the game as well. So we're going to go strong. We're going to make sure we pick the team that we think is the best tomorrow, and we're not really going to think about the Crystal Palace game. And then we play the game against West Ham, and then after that we're going to deal with the squad and how we can act for the Crystal Palace game on Sunday. So we're going to be a strong starting 11, we're going to have a strong bench, and then we're going to make sure we go everything we can to win the game.
You mentioned at the weekend as well that you thought it was a rusty performance. What did you mean by that? And do you think that when you've had such a break, would it have been better to have something like a behind-the-scenes pre-season friendly or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, if we start in that end, we should have had a friendly game against Charlton, but that was cancelled because of the weather, and then the Everton game was cancelled by the weather, and then indoor friendly against each other was also cancelled. So we tried that, but we had some really tough days with the temperature, and the pitches were not perfectly well, and then was not safe to play basically. I think the break for 5 weeks is too long. I think if you want to have a momentum of this league and the fans and the media and everything, we need to have a little bit shorter break to make sure we stay in the momentum and not actually go off and then on a new preseason and then, look rusty. I think most of the games this first round was rusty. I think a lot of teams actually had not the perfect first half, and then the second half a few teams were really good. Obviously Chelsea looked really good, but otherwise it was quite many teams that were quite rusty. What I mean by rusty is that you see the players trying to play the way we want to do, the bravery, the dictation in the build-up, but we take too many different, bad decisions, and technically we don't really solve what we are trying to do. So if you look at this game, you don't really think that that was a really good football game. So what I mean with rusty is that you need to make sure you get to play with pressure, play with each other on a big pitch against an opponent that we don't really know about, and I think that's takes time. You need a few games before you do that. So in a normal preseason, you have 3, 4, 5 games before you go into the first game. Now we didn't have any games, so you can tell the players was not really knowing how to deal with the pressure, the emotions, the relationships. The second half was, there was not brilliant football, and it was not good decision making. We didn't create any chances. We tried, and we did everything we can. So I'm really pleased that we tried, but the quality was not there, and that's not because they don't have the quality. It was just because of the rustiness.
Well, lastly from me, I just wanted you to talk a little bit about the leaders in the dressing room and, of course, on the pitch, and players perhaps that have really impressed you this season and perhaps even surprised you. Yeah,
I mean, sometimes you go to Beth in England because she's obviously the leader, the captain, and she is that. She's a great role model for these players, and she has a great character. But then if you look at Ella Morris, who haven't played too much, the leadership she has and how she can speak up and how she can be very professional in everything, that's also leadership for me. So Ella Morris is probably a future right back in the national team, I would say. And with that mindset, with that professionality and that quality she has, she's a great role model and leader in her way. So we have different leaders. Some is younger, some is older. But the main thing is I think they treat each other and make sure they can be themselves. And I think Bethany is a great role model in that way. She sees everyone and she puts demands up there, but she still is very kind in her way to act.
Best of luck. Thank you.
Cheers.
Dan?
Hi, Robert. Hope you're well. Just on the back of Megan's question, really, on the other side of the coin, I know you were talking about kind of, you know, how the cups are the easiest things to win this year. So, you know, you're on a really good run overall. I think you're 5 games unbeaten now. So, you know, how important are the results and the performances in the cups in terms of keeping that run going?
I think when you go into a game, no matter cup or league, you want to win that game by actually playing the way you want to play. So you always try to push for the way you want to play and win the game. But when you come to the game and it doesn't work, then you need to find a way to win the game instead of just playing the way you want to play and not win the game. So you need to prioritize to win the game. Sometimes in a league you can actually focus on the performance and actually risk to lose a game just because you are in the mid-table and you don't really need to focus on winning or losing and then you're out. So in a league game you might push a little bit longer to push the performance and see if you win anyway. In a cup game you cannot do that because then you're out. So you need to sometimes go a little bit quicker to the way of winning a game, and I think that's the aim for that. We're going to try to play our style. We're going to try to make sure we win in our way. If we are able to do that tomorrow, then we need to find a way to win because that's what matters in football.
And obviously we know these games against West Ham always seem to be exciting. They always seem to go at the last minute. So, you know, there is that prospect of potentially penalties. So, you know, do you put extra practice on penalties, or is it something that, you know, being in that moment and in that situation that you can't really kind of completely practice for?
I mean, we have routines where we have some kind of practices for players who want to have that, but sometimes some players doesn't really want to have it as well. Of course, we know there's a lot of good studies about what's making them have a bigger chance to win, how you celebrate goals, how you actually act when you have the ball before you put it down and everything. So, of course, we're trying to be clever there, but when it comes to those games, and we watched last season when Amy James Turner go up and score that goal, she have never shot a penalty in her life. So it's also about the occasion and that, you know, who's actually willing to be the hero. So I hope we can win before the penalties, but otherwise it's always fun for the fans to see penalties, right?
That's brilliant. Thanks, Robert. Best of luck. Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks, Dan. I think we're just going to come back to the room for another question. Emma.
I was wondering, obviously you play against West Ham in the WSL. Do you prepare any differently for the WSL than you do for the Cup, or is it the same?
It's the same. I mean, we played against them a few times. We had them in the preseason game this year as well. So their coach was in Tottenham before, so many players and coaching staff know about her as well. So we prepare exactly the same, and we just make sure that we are really, really focused on going for the win, and I think that's the Cup. You know, the really fun part with the Cup is that you all or nothing. You need to win, otherwise you're out, and that's a great feeling to go when you go into the game.